Hello guys, Bosso Famas here, and I am here with my Altergeist deck list. Um, I guess I'll just hop right in. So, I think it's obvious to play all 10 of the Altergeist monsters. Uh, the only thing you can do is cut Marionette down to 2, and that's if you play Sangan. But I think Sangan is really bad, so don't do that. But these all mandatory, nothing to really explain. Hand traps, 3 Ash because it is the best versus everything. Like it's not like it just does everything that you need it to do. Like if you play against Guru, it does something. You play against Striker, it does something. You play against any deck, it does something. Play 2 Crow. Uh, I cut down on this just a little bit from 3 to 2 because on Dueling Book especially, you don't play against meta every game. I probably say 40% of the matches are meta. So Crow is really useless when you start playing against Guru and stuff like that. But I felt like this card is better than Skullmeister because if they could Gari target engage, you can DD Crow it, and that situation comes up so much, and this deck loses if engage starts rolling off like that. 3 Veiler because I wanted more stuff to stop the opponent. I wanted to play at least 10 hand traps, and I play 11 in this, not including Phantasmi. It's not really a hand trap, and this is just generically good against everything except for Draco. 2 Phantasme, I cut it down from 3 because when you go first, you really don't want to see it because then you can't fake or summon. When you go second, you want to see it, but it's not a hand trap itself, so it kind of just digs into your deck deeper. So I cut the 3rd Phantasme for the second duality, but I don't want to play 3 duality because this card says you can't special summon that turn. The ratios are weird, I know, but I tested a lot with this deck. And then for the spells, 2 duality, 3 extravagance. I don't play 1 for 1, even though I'm playing 20 monster lineup, because if 1 for 1 gets ashed and you discard a hand trap, then you're going downhill really, really fast. If it gets negated anyway. And it's not good going into playing against Striker, summoning Meluseek. A lot of the times it just has 0 attack because of Shiz. So I felt like 1 for 1 just wasn't good. Extravagance is obvious. It's pot of greed in this deck. For the traps, I'll change up the order of these just a little bit. So Protocol, obvious. I don't play 2 of it because I feel like the card itself just doesn't do enough against what you actually lose to. You can stop the Orcust stuff really easy. Beating the Orcust itself, easiest part, but beating the Striker package of the deck is the harder part. And that's just how it is against a lot of things. Salad, Protocol going second doesn't do much at all. And that's why I only played 1, and you can get it whenever you want to. 1 manifestation. I thought about bumping this up to 2 at one point, but it's still just, it doesn't do anything right off the bat. And then 1 Emuleaf. This card's really good against Striker because it can keep your Protocol alive, and it's also a monster. And it being a monster is really, really good. I mean, I don't play Redoer anymore in the extra deck or Dweller, but I still feel like this card should be played, and if you haven't played it, I feel like you should test it out. 2 evenly. So I cut one of the crows for an evenly, and then I forget what it was, but I cut another card for evenly. This card only is bad with Phantasme, but you can just shuffle it back. And this card it's just good against the Striker matchup. and like decks that put a lot on board but can't kill very fast. You can just wait a turn and then evenly them, and then a lot of the times you can just start using your engine and get yourself back into the game. Main deck order, of course, this card's insane. I don't even care if like I flip order and then draw spells afterwards, because usually it's enough to shut down the opponent's like half of their hand. 3 imperm, more hand traps. I opened this in Faker only once, and the guy just set one and passed. RIP. But just more hand traps. I know like it isn't good with Phantasme, but I don't feel like that ever really comes up, especially with only 2 Phantasme. 3 spoofing. I have like 7 ways to Faker essentially. 3 spoofing, 3 Malus-Seek, 1 Faker. Spoofing is dead sometimes, like when you don't see any Altergeist card, which happens way more than you think it would, even though I'm playing 13 Altergeist cards and 2 Duality, 3 Extravagance, 2 Phantasme. But I still think spoofing at 3 is needed. It plays around Widow Anchor and stuff like that too. And then 3 Judgment. I had this as Lost Wind and Solemn Strike and a whole bunch of different things at one point, but I just went back to Judgment because when you can like Judgment engage and like that's like their last play, then you win. And also post side deck, it makes Judgment's so much better than any of the other cards because it stops like the Twin Twister, the Red Reboot, just stuff like that. I made this deck to like be able to actually win if you get Red Rebooted also. That was another big thing. Side deck, 3 Lancia, of course. This should obviously be in your side deck. It shuts down Orchest for 1 turn, and then if you can like get your Faker off, then you can actually keep up with them. If they IP board you, then you're in a pretty bad situation game 1, unless if you have like evenly or drawn like imperm for turn. I side deck 2 and then 2 Pankatops. It's really good against Rogue. And like you take out like 2 Crow or 2 Phantasme, and then it's also good against. I don't know how I feel about this card versus Striker, because they can Shark Cannon it and summon it to their board and use it as an interruption. So I don't side it in against Striker. And then 3 Nib for Salad and Thunder mainly, and like those big combo decks. This card just gets you so many free wins. You just nib them, and then they lose. Because next turn, if you like have Malus-Seek or Marionetter, you're so much farther ahead. 1 anti-spell. I know this is weird, but when you side against Orchest, you side like 3 Lancia when you're going first and 1 anti-spell. I just needed a 4th card, and this is better than Iron Wall, because you can stop Orcus combo pretty easily, and especially if you're going first. And then you just have to have something to stop the Striker engine part of it. And I figured there's really nothing better than anti-spell. I don't want Secret Village in my deck, because that means I have to multi-faker during the standby phase, and that plays into evenly and more stuff like that. 3 Heavy Storm Duster for like bad decks, or Striker Draco. You just put this in, it's a +1. And then 3 Waking. This card is insane. Like there's so much Draco since it got 2nd place at the YCS, and so many like Striker players just like pop the back row. And then you could just summon like Exterior from the extra deck against Striker, and then look, now they can't do spell or traps for the rest of the game. So yeah, I feel like this card's really good, and also against like Draco, being able to bring out the Raid Raptor guy is nice. And then extra deck, 2 Exterior, 2 Last Warrior, and 2 Raid Raptors. I chose those as my targets for Waking, and I didn't max out on any of them, because sometimes when they destroy Waking, like you've used Faker that turn, so like you just have to summon an Altergeist from extra deck or like from the main deck. And I felt like none of the, like Exterior is really good against Striker, of course, but if it comes down to it and you banish both of these off Extravagance, you can just summon Hexteo and you should still be in a good enough position. And I felt the same way about like all of these cards. Like there's always something else that you can summon that'll be a little bit worse, but still good enough if you did banish them both off Extravagance. 3 Hextia, of course, 2 Prime Banshee. I chose like 2 of this over like 2 Bomber or 2 Phoenix or like the 3rd Link Karibo, because I feel like I always want like a Prime Banshee in extra deck. Like I want it in there after I Extravagance the first time, because like it just comes up to where like you want like 1 Hextia or 1 Prime Banshee in your extra deck, so that way you can like keep your resources going, like you can keep going. 2 Link Karibo. I only chose 2 of this because game 1 I usually don't normal summon Meluseek, turn it in Link Karibo because that plays in the Phantasma. Usually it's just like game 2 and game 3 that you can like Meluseek into this, but it's like an iffy play. Like I don't usually make Link Karibo. 1 Bomber for the combo that I showed, the standard Altergeist combo. You end with Bomber, Faker in hand, and all 3 of your Altergeist traps. It's pretty good, but there's definitely like I play Waking, so like I need these in my extra deck. And then Phoenix, it's came up twice to where like I need this to like win. The first time I didn't have it in the extra deck, and then the second time I did. And I feel like it was more important than the second Bomber. But the reason why I think this is like a good like anti-meta deck sort of is just because like going first, you have like a really high advantage over the opponent's deck, and then going second, you can pretty much stop your opponent. And there's a lot of times to where like I don't have much left, and then just like 1 Marionette or 1 Meluseek really just brings you back into the game and lets you beat your opponent pretty easily. But that's it for the deck profile. I'm gonna have a budget one of like this deck because this deck's obviously expensive. So I'm gonna have a budget build of this up probably sometime this week. But that's it for the video. Like, comment, subscribe. Also